All right, buckle up, everyone, because today's deep dive takes us straight into Citadel of Suffering. Journey into this twisted nightmare. Not exactly a lighthearted romp through the meadows, this one.
Definitely not for the faint of heart.
No, this tabletop RPG adventure module is strictly for experienced players and GMs who, well, let's just say they appreciate a good dose of darkness in their games.
Yeah, and they mean it. Right off the bat, they hit you with this content warning emphasizing the mature themes, like it's not even subtle.
Right. Right from the get-go, they're like, hey, this is going to get intense, so let's talk boundaries and safety tools. I mean, they're talking gore, torture, psychological horror, the whole shebang.
Exactly. And it's not just a disclaimer, it's woven into the fabric of the game itself. The module even suggests GMs avoid, like, revealing too much about the Citadel's true nature up front to really build that sense of creeping dread.
Oh, for sure. That slow burn. The less you know going in, the more effective the horror.
Exactly. Yeah. They want players to uncover the darkness organically, to experience that gradual descent into madness. Speaking of madness, one of the most fascinating aspects of this module is how they handle death.
Oh yeah, the whole time bubble thing. So you die, but you don't stay dead.
Yeah, it's like a twisted take on Groundhog Day. Each time your character dies, they're thrust back to a point before their demise, but it leaves a mark.
Okay, so like scars, both physical and mental.
Exactly. You might suffer ability score drops, lose valuable items, maybe even develop new phobias based on whatever gruesome fate you met. It's a constant cycle of death and resurrection, with the penalties stacking up with each failure.
Talk about pressure. Knowing that death isn't an escape, it's just a setback with consequences. That changes the whole game, right?
Absolutely. It encourages a more cautious playstyle. Every encounter becomes a calculated risk, because those penalties add up fast.
It's like the Citadel is designed to break you, body and mind.
It really is, and that's where the sanity mechanic comes in.
Right, because it's not enough to just kill you. They have to mess with your head, too.
Yeah, they use a system similar to Call of Cthulhu. You experience something horrific, and boom, sanity takes a hit. And let me tell you, this module does not skimp on the mind-bending, sanity-shattering stuff.
So the Citadel itself is kind of like this malevolent entity warping the minds of those who dare to enter.
That's a great way to put it. It's not just a setting, it's an active participant in the horror. And then there's the lore, which is just layers upon layers of bad decisions and ancient evil.
Right. Like we're talking millennia of corruption, starting with this power-hungry sorcerer who twisted the land's magic for his own gain. But that was just the beginning, right?
Oh, it just spirals from there. You've got this magical university trying to study the Citadel, hoping to harness its power, which, spoiler alert, never ends well.
And surprise, surprise, it backfires spectacularly.
Secret cults, forbidden experiments, the whole 9 yards.
And just when you think it can't get worse, we get to the tale of the 9 adventurers. Always love a good adventuring party, especially when they're about to walk into a nightmare.
Right. But here's the thing about the Citadel. It doesn't just throw monsters at you. It breaks you from the inside out. Of those 9 adventurers, only 3 survived.
And one of them became the Lich King.
Exactly. Driven mad by the Citadel, obsessed with its power, trapped in this horrific time loop of his own making.
So, to recap, we've got this terrifying location with a history steeped in suffering, ruled by a Lich King who might not even be the true power at play. Sound about right?
Yeah, and that's just scratching the surface.
So we've got this Citadel, right? This beacon of bad vibes. But people have tried to, deal with it before, right? It's not like everyone just said, too spooky and walked away.
Oh, absolutely. People have tried. The problem is every attempt to control the Citadel seems to just backfire. It feeds on those good intentions, twists them into something, well, something awful.
Right, like that sorcerer we talked about. He wasn't the source of the problem, just the first one to get played by it.
Exactly. And then that magical university, you can almost see them thinking, we can study this, harness it, control it. Famous last words, right?
Yeah, hold my magically brewed beer and watch this. It never ends well. So what happened?
Well, instead of containing the darkness, they became part of it. Secret cults forming, twisted experiments, the whole magical shebang going sideways. Ambition makes you blind,
And then it all spirals from there. The cults summon something nasty, their leader vanishes, everyone's freaking out, and they abandon the Citadel. But the evil's still there.
Oh, it's just getting started. Hunter, the 9 adventurers, classic quest, gotta stop the evil. But the Citadel is playing a whole other game.
Because it doesn't just kill you, does it?
No. It breaks you from the inside out. The module talks about these adventurers, each with their own reasons for going in. Some want glory. Some just want to stop the suffering. Only 3 ever came out.
101 Piece, I'm guessing.
Not even close. One driven mad, became a serial killer. Another consumed by paranoia, completely shattered. Their minds just couldn't handle what they saw.
And third,
No.
that's our Lich King, right?
Precisely. He became obsessed, twisted by the Citadel, learned to control its power, or so he thinks, trapped himself and everyone else in this horrific time loop.
So, that brings us to the players. Stuck in this cycle of death and resurrection, facing these horrors over and over, with the very real possibility of becoming part of it themselves.
That's the hook, isn't it? It's not just a dungeon crawl, it's a psychological pressure cooker.
And that's where things get really interesting. If the Citadel itself is the real villain, this entity of pure malice, does that mean the players are just pawns?
That's the question the module wants you to grapple with. It offers a few paths. You could be the classic heroes, destroy the Lich King, break the loop, save the day. Except,
what if that's what it wants? What if the Lich King is just a symptom, a puppet, and the real evil is something far older and more powerful?
Exactly. Or what about those wizards of the coast, those figures from the future the Lich King is terrified of? What if they're not the good guys?
Oh man, that's just messed up.
And there's a third option the module hints at, escape. Not just from the Citadel, but from the whole damn loop.
Now we're talking, but how do you escape something like that?
That's the question, isn't it? Do you even try to play the hero, knowing it could all be for nothing? Or do you focus on saving yourself, even if it means leaving everyone else to suffer in the loop?
Heavy stuff. It's not just about fighting monsters, it's about confronting the darkness within, making impossible choices. Which brings us to the lower chambers of agony. This place sounds like it's designed to push players to their absolute limit.
It is sensory overload, psychological torture. And this is where the module really digs deep into the horror.
This is where we meet the grotesque devils, right? Trapped, begging for release.
Yeah.
But we know better than to trust anything in this place.
Right. So you're in these chambers. What hits you first? What makes it so awful?
The smell, I bet. That and the sounds.
Imagine this. The air is thick with the stench of decay. The walls practically dripping with the echoes of ancient suffering. You hear screams, whispers, things you can't quite place. It's like the Citadel itself is trying to burrow into your mind. And then you see them. The grotesque devils, each one seemingly imprisoned, twisted, and broken, their cries for help echoing through the chamber.
But it's a trap. They have to be.
Of course it's a trap. These grotesque devils, they're masters of manipulation. They use telepathy to prey on your compassion, to exploit your desire to help. They know you're trapped in the loop, and they'll use your fear and desperation against you.
So what makes them so dangerous? They're telepathic, but...
They're not just mindless monsters. They embody the Citadel's cruelty. They're proof that even compassion can be a weakness, a tool for the Citadel to use against you.
And there's that lever, right? The one that opens all the cells at once.
Ah, yes. The lever. Classic horror movie trope.
Don't pull the lever.
But here's the thing. This lever isn't just a cheap scare tactic. It represents a deeper choice. Do you prioritize your own survival, knowing those creatures could mean doom for you and your party? Or do you risk everything to free them, even knowing it could unleash something even worse?
And remember, even death isn't an escape. You're just going to relive it, probably weaker and even more messed up than before.
Exactly. A true no-win situation. And lurking in the shadows of this already horrifying chamber is the Master of Servants room.
Oh, yeah. That's the one with the paintings made of... Well, let's just say they're not exactly family-friendly. The furniture is made of bone. Real classy. So who is this Master of Servants? What's their deal?
That, my friend, is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
And where we'll have to pick up next time.
Okay, so last time we left off with this. Impending sense of doom. Lower chambers of agony, grotesque devils offering a deal that's too good to be true. And then, boom, the Master of Servants, just lurking in the background, being all kinds of creepy.
It's like the module is saying, you think those devils are bad, hold my beer.
Right, like we're conditioned to fear the obvious monsters, the ones with claws and teeth and a penchant for chaos. But the Master of Servants, that name implies something more. Control, intelligence, and understanding of the Citadel's true nature.
Exactly. The grotesque devils are all about immediate gratification, playing on your base fears and desires, but the Master, it's playing a longer game, a more insidious kind of evil.
And we know the Citadel feeds on good intentions. What if freeing the devils, even with the best of intentions, plays right into the Master's hands?
Oh, that's good. Like, maybe the devils aren't prisoners at all, but tools. carefully positioned to tempt players into making a terrible choice that benefits the master.
See, this is what I love about this module. It's not just about what's written on the page, it's about the spaces in between. The things you don't know. Like, we get those tantalizing descriptions of the master's room, the bone furniture, the disturbing paintings, but nothing concrete about the master itself.
And that's the genius of it. Sometimes the unknown is the scariest thing of all. The module leaves that space for the GM to craft their own vision of the master, something tailored to their players' specific fears.
So we've established this master of servants is seriously bad news. But do we ever find out, what it is? Do we get any answers?
That's the beauty of it. The module provides a framework, but the specifics are left open. Maybe you get glimpses of the master, hear whispers from tormented souls trapped in the Citadel. Maybe you find evidence of its influence elsewhere, little hints that point to its true nature. But those answers, they're earned.
It's like the Citadel itself is testing you, seeing how much you're willing to endure in pursuit of the truth. Which brings us to Crag. He's a whole other can of worms.
Oh yeah, Crag. The wild card.
For those who haven't delved into this nightmare yet, Crag is a prisoner in the lower chambers. But he's different from the grotesque devils. He claims he can help the players, even offers information about the Master of Servants.
With the catch, you have to free them.
Which, let's be real, is never a good idea in a place like this.
Especially when the module itself warns that Crag's knowledge comes at a price. Maybe he's telling the truth. But that truth might be more horrifying than anything you could imagine.
Or maybe he's lying, playing his own game, using the players to achieve his own goals. We never get confirmation of his true motives, do we?
Nope. He's a gamble. A potential ally with questionable motives and knowledge that could lead to salvation or utter ruin. Talk about tension.
And that's what makes Citadel of Suffering such a compelling experience, isn't it? It's this tapestry of horror, woven with these threads of psychological torment, impossible choices, and the constant awareness that something ancient and malevolent is watching your every move.
It's the kind of game that gets under your skin, stays with you long after you've finished playing, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
So if you're looking for a tabletop RPG that will test your limits, both as a player and as a person, well, the Citadel of Suffering is waiting. Just try not to lose your sanity along the way.